Good morning, everyone. My name is Jordan Webster, and I will be your host today. I am with the Kansas City Home Builders Association. I work in government affairs and workforce development. I also have Courtney Reyes with me along, that's kind of helping with the chat and the tech side of things. She also works with the Kansas City Home Builders Association. We are members of the Northland Education Business Alliance, or NEBA for short. NEBA is a network of education and business organizations in Clay and Platte County whose vision is to promote and provide business-driven educational opportunities for you, our next generation of business leaders. We Just a few quick notes before we get started. The session will run for 40 minutes with a hard stop at 9:40. Our industry experts will begin Renee will begin with sharing her professional history and insight. But we definitely want to make this feel like a conversation. So at the bottom of your screen, you should see an option to use the Q&A feature. And we encourage you to do so and use that space for any questions you might have at any point in the session. You definitely don't have to wait until the end. We can definitely interject your questions. We might not be able to get to all of them, but we'll definitely do our best. When the session ends, you'll be asked to take a very short survey. So please give us your feedback on this event so we can get better at hosting things like this in the future. And then last but not least, the session will be recorded and available online in the near future. All right, let's get started. Renee, would you like to kick us off?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. I'm Renee. I'm a freelance graphic designer here in the greater Kansas City area and super excited to be here with all of you guys this morning. So I was just kind of thinking about some of the questions that they sent to me before we got started on talking a little bit this morning. And as she mentioned, I wanted to start out by talking a little bit about my educational background and kind of what the scene is here for freelance graphic designers here in the greater Kansas City area. So let's start there. Unless anyone has any questions, I can kind of see the questions pop up here. So I do see one that says, what's my name again? So I'm Renee. Renee Reeves, and I see some other questions coming in, so I'll keep an eye on those. And I think this next question will kind of talk a little bit about that as we get started here. So that will definitely answer a little bit later on. So my education, how did I get started here in the graphic design field? It's a little bit unconventional, I must tell you, not necessarily the path that everyone follows, but I first started my kind of love for graphic design my freshman year in high school. Was kind of looking for some quick and easy electives to fill my schedule, and saw a computer class on there, and I thought, hey, it's a computer class. That's got to be pretty easy. I'll just stick that on the schedule here. So it was a desktop publishing class, which is a very old Microsoft program that I don't think they even make anymore. But in the class, we just kind of would work on creating flyers and different things like that, some movie posters or something like that. And I thought, man, this is a lot of fun. Let me see what I can do with this. So I distinctly remember asking the teacher in that class, what career fields are really utilizing the skills that we're learning here? And she just was kind of like, she kind of drew a blank for a minute, and she said, I think graphic design or something like that. And so I kind of ran with that answer, and I did a deep dive and was like, hey, I think I might want to get into something like this. So to answer the question, what made me decide to be a graphic designer? I took a course on a whim and decided that I really liked it. So that's kind of how I kind of jumped into this. The following year, which was my sophomore year in high school, I took a graphic design course. I was lucky enough that my high school offered an actual graphic design course. So I took that sophomore year and whatever art electives I could get my hands on. And even the following year after that, I took some secondary programs. So they had a graphic design, I believe it was 201 or 200 or something like that. So I took that course, and I even asked if I could be a teacher's assistant that year. So I was a teacher's assistant in the graphic design program in my high school. So really, I just wanted to kind of absorb as much information as humanly possible. And so that's what I kind of focused on doing. I'm sure my teacher was sick of me before the year was out because I had her for 2 periods, I think, that year. So, but it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. And I took as many art electives that I could take at the time. So I think I took a pottery course and just a regular like painting course or something like that. So it was very interesting. Stared at a computer a lot in high school for sure. And so let's see here. Now we're kind of at my senior year in high school. So senior year, I found out about a technical program that my high school offered. And so I was kind of like, hey, I want to look into this. The technical program was the advertising and marketing technical training. And so I was like, this seems like this is right up my alley here. So I took that program. The instructor that taught that program had worked in the graphic design field for, I want to say, 40 years or something like that. So very knowledgeable, great resource to train under. So I took that senior year in high school. And then I found out that that program had a second year, but I was already a senior in high school. So can I take this program next year? Am I going to miss some stuff or what do I do? So I hit the ground running. I pestered and persistently bugged my counselor in high school. I bugged the counselor at the technical school. I spoke with my teacher frequently and found out that they had an option to attend as an adult student so that I could finish up that training a year after I got out of high school. And again, when I found out that I would have to pay out of pocket for the following year, then I was very persistent in trying to figure out the best way to not have to do that as well. So thankfully, I was able to use my GPA scholarship, which was also unusual. Usually toward a college or a university, you get to use that scholarship, but they let me use it for a technical program. So very unconventional way of doing things, but really the takeaway from that is just don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask for someone to meet your circumstances or for someone to make concessions, to ask for things that aren't usual or that you're not seeing because someone sees that you are serious and really diligent and wanting to pursue something, they very well may be able to help you. And then also be persistent. Don't ask once, don't ask twice, don't ask 3 times. Be that pest if you must. If they don't answer your phone call Monday morning, call them again Wednesday. And if they don't answer Wednesday, call them again Friday. Make sure that you are letting people know that, hey, I'm serious about this. And if you can help me, I will take all the help I can get. So that's kind of my big takeaways from how my education kind of went in the graphic design field. I did the 2 years at the technical school. I did, and I even did a somewhat of an apprenticeship under that instructor in the VOTEC because I asked him again, asking questions. I asked him, would he mind if I dropped by after I finished and asked questions? He had done this amazing job in training me in this field, but now I'm, so to speak, hitting the ground running. And what if I have questions or run into a program or run into a project that I don't know how to complete? Will you help me? And he was like, absolutely. So I visited him quite frequently, even after I finished those 2 years. And he was a great resource to have. So don't be afraid to be persistent, ask questions. I'm going to look at some of the questions now, because that's kind of where my education kind of started and stopped at with graphic design. It's not really stopping. I'm still learning stuff every day. But some of the questions, see here. I did. One of the questions is, did I ever have a different job? Yes, I have had several different jobs. I've been a freelance graphic designer now for almost 15 years. In the midst of that, there's always been times where I felt like, hey, do I still want to do this? Is this something that I'm still enjoying? And so I've tried a couple of different things. I was a dog groomer for a year. I tried that. It was fun while it lasted. I love puppies. But graphic design is my home. It's what I love. I'm at a point now, it doesn't even feel like work. It just kind of feels like, talking with some fun people and making some pretty art. It's kind of my job all day. Um, I have always lived in Kansas City. I was born and raised here. I have not always loved art. Like I said, I got started freshman year in high school. Before that, I thought I wanted to be a uh, radio personality. You know, those weird people you hear on the radio in the morning. I thought that's what I wanted to do when I was in what was that, middle school. But that didn't stick for long after I got my teeth into graphic design. So I didn't think I could draw. I didn't think I was any good at art. Then I took a couple art classes in high school and I was like, hey, I'm not terrible. I'm not the best by any means. I do most of my drawing on the computer, not so not the best, but I do enjoy art. I love the Nelson. That's my home away from home, and the Kemper Contemporary Art Museum. Love that place. It's great. Um, I'm gonna jump into kind of the um, portion where I kind of talk a little bit about the graphic design field here in Kansas City specifically. And then I also continue to look at some of the questions coming in as well. Um, so here in Kansas City, when you think about the um, graphic design field here, is this a good place for graphic designers? Two questions really came to mind when I was thinking about how to describe the field specifically here. And the first thing that you hear a lot is, the graphic design field is oversaturated. There's too many graphic designers. There's not enough work. How are you going to make a living doing that? So I want to talk a little bit about that. Is the graphic design field really oversaturated? And then also, is Kansas City a good place for a graphic designer? It's not a huge town. It's not a huge city. Are there opportunities here? So first, let's talk a little bit about, is the graphic design field oversaturated? And honestly, I would say yes and no. It's kind of a two-part answer. So let's talk about why I would say yes. I would say yes because I meet a lot of graphic designers. I meet people at different networking events or just in different business capacities, business opportunities, collaborating with other teams. There are a lot of graphic designers. Either they have a few on their team already, or you meet someone in their brother or sister or their daughter or son or aunt or uncle, someone that they know personally is a graphic designer. So yeah, I meet a lot. There are a lot in this field. But why would I say it's not oversaturated? No, the field is not oversaturated because I can count on one hand. Yeah, I could probably count on one hand the number of designers that I meet that are actually putting out quality design work. There is a lot that kind of falls behind the thought process as to why you're creating things a certain way. It's not always just about what looks good. There's a lot of psychology behind it. And so when you put the work behind it and the fact that there aren't a lot of quality designers, people see that you get results from quality design work in a business standpoint. And when you're not showcasing that, you can see that in your work. So when it comes to the graphic design field, if you want to be a graphic designer and you're worried about the amount of other graphic designers that you know, don't focus on that. Don't focus on the competition. Focus on growing your skills. Focus on putting out quality work, because that's what's going to speak for itself. That's what's going to allow you to gain clients. That's what's going to allow you to be hired at a marketing firm. That's what's going to put you above the curve, so to speak, put you ahead of your competitors, putting out good quality work. Learn your craft, learn your skills, learn the programs that you want to use, learn the psychology behind it. Like I said, there's so much psychology behind good design. There's color theory, there's shape theory, there's a lot of intricate details behind not only what looks good, but why it looks good, why there are so many fast food restaurants that use red and yellow in their color scheme or in their branding. There's an answer for that. So learning that stuff is going to put you way ahead of the 50 graphic designers that are standing in the same office as you for an interview. It's going to put you way above that. So don't focus on your competition. Focus on growing your skills, growing your quality work, learning the psychology, putting in the work to understand what you're doing, and learn why and how people think the way that they do. Like I said, if you get a chance to take a psychology course, do it. Take it. If you get a chance to peek over the shoulder of one of your friends and read through their psychology book, do it. It will put you strides above those around you, because you'll be able to help other businesses, other clients uh, reach their market, reach their clientele. So is the field oversaturated? It can be if you are not putting the work behind it, but if you're a quality designer and you're putting the legwork, the blood, sweat, and tears into your design, it is not oversaturated. We can always use more quality graphic designers. So that kind of answers that question. There's room for more designers. You just got to do good work. I'm going to look at some of the questions a little bit before I move on to is Kansas City a good place for designers? So do I think there is, what do I think is the biggest struggle for graphic designers in digital media? The biggest struggle. Let me think about that one a little bit. I might come back to that one. What high school program did I go through? I went to Herndon Vocational School here in Raytown, Missouri. So it's a VOTEC. They have a lot of different programs. The program I took was the advertising and marketing program. But there was a culinary program. There's I think an automotive program. We even did a little bit of vehicle wrapping in my program, which was a lot of fun, doing some vehicle designs. We did a little bit of digital media. So that's a program I went to. And let's see here, how much school did I? School for graphic design, which school did I go through? I did 2 years at the technical school, and then I did another year of basically pestering my instructor with all of my questions and real world problems, real world projects that I was doing. So probably somewhere more closer to 3 years, but technically I did 2 years in a vocational or technical school program. Let's see here. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to is Kansas City a good place for graphic designers? And I'm still going to think about some of the biggest struggles for graphic design and digital media. I'm thinking about that when I'll come back to that. So let's see here. Is Kansas City a good place for a graphic designer? Yes, absolutely. Short answer is yes, 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 yes. There are so many reasons why, but I really want to just kind of focus on 2 reasons. The first reason being that Kansas Cityans love art. All of your neighbors love art. It is a huge, huge thing here. I can't stress to you how amazing our art community is here. And if you want proof of that, just take a look at our downtown. It is covered head to toe in big, beautiful, eye-catching pieces of art. You got, down by the West Bottoms area, the Crossroads, the Art District, down by Children's Mercy Hospital. It is art everywhere. So that just shows you Kansas Cityans love art and they value art. There is huge value for art here. So you have business owners here that see the environment. Downtown, like I said, other places in the city, they see, my clients, my customers are used to seeing these big, beautiful, eye-catching pieces of art. How do I fashion my business in a way that I fit into that environment? Enter the graphic designer, right? I work with a lot of people, a lot of businesses that say, hey, I want to have, visual pieces that catch the eye of my clients, and they see the value in that. So that's a huge plus for a graphic designer. It's opening up a huge world for you to deal with so many different businesses, so many different people, and they already appreciate art and see the value in it. So that just kind of breaks down so many walls for you in the beginning before you even get started doing the work. Secondly, Kansas City is growing this huge list, and have been for years now, for several years now, growing this list of big city amenities, big city opportunities. So you have places like the Sprint Center, or what's now the T-Mobile Center. I believe they went ahead and changed the name to the T-Mobile Center. You have these state-of-the-art high-rise apartments like One Life and Two Life. Those places are amazing. And we just had the Gordon Ramsay restaurant open here not too long ago. So we have this huge list of big city opportunities, amenities that Kansas City is growing. But somehow, miraculously, we have been able to retain these citizens that are so neighborly, so friendly, so welcoming, that it's a just amazing combination. So you have these big city opportunities, people with these amazing ideas, great entrepreneurship here, but you have these people who also want to grow relationships. They don't want to just work with you. Hey, I got this project. Can you get it done and finish it? They want to grow this relationship. Tell me more about what you do. Here's what I do. Let's have a conversation. Let's grow a relationship here. Now, why is that great? First off, it makes working with people so much more enjoyable. My clients become more like friends to me. I enjoy talking with them over the phone. I enjoy going to their open houses or going to their marketing events. It's always a lot of fun. And then secondly, when you grow these long-lasting relationships, these are lifelong clients. This is clientele. This is loyal clientele. They're not going to work with another designer. They're gonna work with me. I have clients now that I did my first job for in 2007. I was still in high school, and I still work with some of those clients today. Those clients have seen my work grow dramatically, drastically grow. So that loyal clientele there, that you can't, that's invaluable. It's invaluable. And I'm not gonna say it doesn't happen anywhere else, but I'm gonna say it is very uncommon to meet that variety, to meet that combination of people who have these massive ideas, a city who has these great opportunities, but also um, are so focused on building relationships that they become friends and family, really. You can't beat that. Like, you just can't beat it. It's a very unusual variety of people here in Kansas City, and it makes for a great spot to grow your skills, to grow your friendships, grow your relationships, grow your clientele. It's a great place to be a graphic designer. So that's kind of education and the field here, the industry of graphic design here in Kansas City. I'm gonna look back at some more of these questions here. I love that there are questions coming in. Biggest struggle. Okay, I've been thinking about that a little bit. One of the things that I struggle with is everything changes so quickly. Oh my goodness. It's sometimes it's overnight. I was just on my iPad recently, and Adobe put out a iPad version of Illustrator. I've been using Illustrator now, like I said, for almost 15 years. And I went to create a couple social media post on the iPad version of Illustrator and was so lost. Like, I was like, where's this button? Where is that button? What am I doing? So there's always a huge fluctuation of programs changing. And I was around when Adobe was selling their programs outright, and now everything's cloud-based. So that was kind of a huge learning curve to, how's this going to affect my business? How's this going to affect my bottom line? What is this going to look like financially for me? So that's kind of one of the biggest struggle, which can be a struggle in a lot of different career fields. There's just a lot of changing, a lot of moving parts that you kind of have to just roll with the punches. When I first started in graphic design, everything was a lot more print-based. Everything was I did a lot of newspaper ads and a lot of magazine ads and a lot of, mail outs and posters and flyers and a lot of business collateral printed pieces. But now, especially living in a world where there's, this pandemic going on, everything is so much more digital based. So that's kind of the biggest challenge, I think, for me, is just being able to, be flexible enough to roll with the punches. Where am I going today? I don't really know, but hopefully I can be successful when I get there. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Kind of scrolling through the questions a little bit more. Let's see here. What are some of the requirements for my job? That's a great question. One of the big requirements that I don't think a lot of people talk about is there is a huge requirement to have people skills. It's not talked about as frequently as it was when I was in school, because a lot of times we build relationships digitally. So you don't really have to nurture those people skills, but working in the graphic design field, whether you're freelancing or working at a marketing agency or something like that, it's really important that you develop your people skills because, excuse me, people work with people that they like. I know it sounds pretty, it just sounds weird when I say it out loud, but I can't tell you the number of times that I've met with someone and they said, I just really like working with you. So let's just see where this project goes. Like, hey, I've not done this before. I don't know if I'm the best fit. And they're like, I just really like talking with you. We'll kind of figure it out together. So developing people skills, people work with and buy from people that they like. You could be the best graphic designer here on earth. You could be top graphic designer here, not just in the US, but on earth. If people don't like working with you, they're not going to work with you. It's that simple. And you could be the worst graphic designer. And if you are charismatic and people like you, they may possibly still work with you. So really developing those people skills is huge. It's a huge job requirement. Even if you're working in a marketing agency where they kind of bring you your clients and you don't have to go out and procure your own clients, you still have to be able to work in a team environment. You still have to be able to work with people beside you. And those environments and relationships are always easier if you have people skills. Be respectful, learn how to, communicate your ideas well, learn how to take criticism. Those are huge requirements in this field, especially when it's a field where a lot of times the stuff that you're developing or the stuff that you're creating is for someone else's purposes. So not only am I drawing up on my experiences, but I have to figure out how to draw on their experience as well. And sometimes I miss the mark. Sometimes I'm like, hey, this is a great design. And the client's like, this is terrible. And I have to learn how to take that information and take that criticism and mold the project in a way that they like it, but it still develops or still delivers results for them. So people skills, do some research on that, read a book about it, ask your parents. If you're an educator, help the students learn that the importance of learning to work with other people. Huge, huge benefits in this field with that. What do I like about being a freelancer? I love the freedom of it. I really do. I worked at a newspaper for 6 years. I'm still freelancing on the side, and I also worked in a print company for 3 years. I worked in a large format print company for several years, and I like being able to pick my own clients. I like being able to scout out clientele. Hey, this sounds like a really cool project. I want to work with you. Or, this doesn't sound like a great fit for me. Let me refer you to someone else. I like being able to have that control over who I'm working with. It makes for a less stressful environment for me. And like I said, my clients end up becoming more like family than they do just, a source of income. So I love that about working freelance is that I can choose who I want to work with. Also, this field allows for so much thinking outside of the box. Like, I think it was I went to a Zoom meeting last week sometime and was able to just come up with some really unusual ideas or just trying something new. Hey, no one else is doing it. Let's give it a try and see if it works out. This field allows for that so much. So I really love that aspect of graphic design, just being able to think outside the box a little bit creatively and try something new. Um, I went to, the question is, what high school did I go to? I went to Raytown South High School, a little bit further south than North Kansas City, but that's where I went. I graduated in 2008. Um, who's my favorite artist? I'm a graphic designer, so I can't not say Andy Warhol. Like, that guy is awesome. I love Andy Warhol. I love all of his stuff. I went to a museum that was doing a kind of a feature on him, and man, I could have spent a whole week in there. I think I was only in there for 2 or 3 hours, but I could have stayed a lot longer than that. I love Andy Warhol. Let's see here. Do I have to learn to code because of my job? It's helpful. Um, I don't have a lot of coding knowledge, very basic coding knowledge. I do some web design, not a lot, but I do some web design, pretty much just kind of to help people get a web presence, not necessarily. I usually say I do basic websites. So just usually for informational purposes, and learning some code does help out a lot with that, basic code. So it's helpful. I wouldn't say it's a requirement. There are a lot of online programs that allow you to kind of design websites on the front end. So click, drag and click kind of websites. There are some that are really good quality, and allow for a lot of customization, but it is helpful. Not a requirement, but it's very helpful to learn coding or learn some coding. What inspires me? I look for inspiration a lot. A lot of times, I'll go to an art museum, other art pieces inspire me. I traveled abroad recently, a couple years ago. Let's see here. It was actually last September, so a year ago, a little over a year ago now. I was able to travel and go to Asia. I went to Asia I was there for 2 weeks, spent 2 weeks in Asia, and uh, just seeing other art pieces, just different type of aesthetic, seeing different types of graphic design. Their graphic design is a lot different than ours is here, their style of things. So that kind of stuff is very inspiring to me, just to kind of see what else is out there, what other people are doing. It's really cool.
Renee, I just wanted to give you, we have 5 minutes left, so just kind of a 5-minute warning for you to
Perfect.
say anything else that you haven't been able to say and kind of wrap things up.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see here. Um, Talked about people skills. I wanted to make sure I hit on that because that was very important. Um, yeah, I'll just finish up with answering a few more questions. I think we kind of hit on everything that I really wanted to talk about a little bit. Um, oh, I wanted to kind of touch base on some of the unique businesses here in Kansas City. There's a huge, a broad spectrum of businesses that a lot of people don't know anything about that I get to work with as a designer. So one of my clients right now is a traveling museum about inventors. So they have these exhibits that they travel with all over the country, and they put up exhibits in high schools and colleges about inventors. I've never heard of anybody doing that before, and I don't think I would have met that business owner if I wouldn't have been a graphic designer. But it's been so much fun learning about their business, the kind of things that they offer. Another client that I have right now is a nomadic meetup group. So this organization is basically geared toward people who are part of van life, or they renovate these vans. I'm sure you guys have seen this on TV. They renovate vans and RVs and they move into them and travel the country. Well, this organization, they create events for these people to meet up at and, talk to each other, bounce ideas off of each other. So I've been able to meet some of their clients, and which is a lot of fun. And so a huge base of businesses here in Kansas City that do really unique things. So if you get an opportunity to go to a networking event, do so. Ask people what they do, learn a little bit more about their business, because there are some really cool businesses here. And they can be small, some of them are big, but to learn about those different ideas and kind of, that's also inspiration for me. Learning new ideas, learning new businesses is a lot of fun for me. See here, I think we had about 3 more minutes, so I'm going to read through some of these other questions, see if I can answer them pretty quickly here. Yes, you can be a graphic designer without being amazing at art or an amazing artist. I am proof of that. I'm not an amazing artist. I can get my ideal across, but I'm not a traditional artist by any stretch of the imagination. So yes, that is very possible. Uh, it did take me a few years to get a hang of this, to get the hang of graphic design, really. I look back at some of my projects that I did in my earlier years, and I'm thinking, oh man, somebody paid for this? Why would they do that? It is terrible. But yeah, it takes a little bit to kind of grow into your artistry, and I'm hoping that I continue to grow. So, 10 years from now, I look back on things that I'm doing now, and I still feel like I've grown that much. Um, Here. Did I ever think it was going to be possible? I think I was optimistic that I could support myself on this type of work. And yeah, I'm doing that, and I love it. My parents, their generation, sometimes doesn't have the opportunity to do work that they love doing. And our generation and younger generations have that opportunity. Do what you love to do. There's a way that you can make a living off of it. So do it. Figure it out. Think outside the box, cut corners off the puzzle pieces so they fit in the right spots. Do what you need to do. But there is a way that you can make a living doing what you love to do. Let's see here. There's a question about psychology classes. What would I recommend that relate to the graphic design field? Really, I took a lot of color theory, shape theory. I took a couple psychology classes when I was in high school too. They're basic enough that I think really overall they kind of apply. You kind of learn also people skills. You learn how people think a little bit. That helps with that as well. So I think I don't necessarily know I would, take a course where you're going to learn how to be a psychologist or anything like that, but learning just the basic psychology of human thinking is going to be a huge benefit. So even just the classes that you've taken in high school will be helpful. I think that's from Sydney. She asked that question. Video editor, but also an artist. I wonder if there's something that would help me in the future. Yeah, video editing. I do that for work now. So yeah, that's definitely something that'll help you.
All right, I think that's all the time we have today. Thank you so much, Renee, and for all of the attendees. I hope the people in the audience, I hope you guys enjoyed hearing about all of the career opportunities that exist here in Kansas City. Please make sure to take a minute and complete the survey that will pop up on your screen, just so we can ensure that we're bringing you helpful and relevant content. And to find out more information on any of these topics, please visit the site nebaworkskc.org. And I hope everyone has a great day. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Renee. You were wonderful.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Bye, guys.
Bye.